You ever wake up and just know today's going to be weird? No, seriously. One morning I step outside with my coffee, sun just breaking, mist curling over the water, and what do I see zip-tied to my dock? A laminated lake pass, left like some ransom note for my own property, courtesy of the HOA president herself. If you're not laughing yet, give a second. Because that's how neighborhood wars really begin. Not with lawsuits or angry mobs, nah. They start with a plastic sign and a petty tyrant with a clipboard. I'm telling you, my dog Moose, golden retriever, big heart, tiny brain, sniffed that pass like it was hiding a squirrel. I'm standing there, mug in hand, and all I can think is, my grandpa warned me about people like this. He'd say, George, never let a bully with a clipboard take what's yours. Old advice, but here we are, new war, same script. See, my grandpa was the guy who bought the whole parcel when Talon Estates was just trees, sold off the lots, kept the lake bed, and locked the deed in a fireproof safe. I don't go around bragging about it, but paperwork's paperwork, and that lake is legally, undeniably, absolutely mine. But apparently, Karen Killian, the newly crowned queen of our HOA, decided that community now meant Karen's rules. The notice was official. Talon Estates Aquatic Enjoyment Initiative. Wristbands required, passes required, fees outrageous, attitude bigger than the lake. Now, I'm not stupid. I know a shakedown when I see one. Karen even brought backup, a couple of water rangers, looking like mall cops on summer break, all matching polos and radios. They show up on a golf cart, trying to look tough. Karen herself, clipboard gripped like a scepter, leads the charge. She says, "It's for beautification, George. We're thinking of adding cattails." Cattails? Lady, have you even seen the lake? Nature's got that covered. I tell her, Karen, I won't be needing a wristband. Moose lets out a low growl, tail thumping the dock. I swear he understood every word. Her smile tightens. She tells me it's mandatory for all lakefront amenities. I say, my dock isn't an amenity, it's my property. This lake? Mine too. You should have seen her face, disbelief, then rage. The HOA maintains the common areas. The lake is the biggest common area. One of her rangers even had a mustard stain on his shirt. Intimidating? Please. I was already plotting my next move, and trust me, it wasn't paying a dime. She threatens a lien. I ask her to spell lien. Then spell lawsuit. I leave her sputtering on the dock while I grab the original deed, certified copy of the county parcel map. The works. Read it and weep, I tell her, and she does, eyes wide, face draining of color. For a second, I almost feel bad, but not quite. But Karen? She's a true believer. Facts bounce off her like rubber bullets. She says my deed is antique, probably invalid. I tell her my lawyer, Ally Tran, deadly with bylaws, sharp as a tack, checked it more times than Karen's checked her own reflection. Karen pulls out her phone, calls the cops, tells them I'm trespassing on water, which the HOA spiritually owns. I nearly choke on my coffee. Deputies show up. Karen's waving her clipboard, telling the story like I'm some wild animal. Deputy Ward, calm, by the book, reads the deed, checks the property lines, and says, "Ma'am, this gentleman owns the dock, an entire lake. You were trespassing." The silence? Exquisite. Ward sighs, tells Karen she's misusing 911, warns her it's a civil matter. I get a subtle eyebrow raise from him. He gets it. But you think that stopped her? Not even close. She doubles down. Next comes harassment. Wristbands, patrols, fee notices that look like parking tickets slapped on anyone using the lake. Neighbors start getting annoyed. Texts flood in. George, my kid got fined for skipping rocks. Karen's plan is simple. Turn the community against me, pressure me to fold. That's when I call Ally. She's 5 feet of legal fury, and she tells me, Karen can't fine you for using your property, but she's fining people for breaking a rule on what she calls common property. It's a mess, but we'll untangle it. Meanwhile, you need to manage public relations. My grandpa would have called it building a boat out of spite. Lucky for me, I know just the crew. Leia and Nate, the 12-year-old twins 2 doors down, legendary pranksters. I offer them the lead role. We start with malicious compliance. Karen wants wristbands? We give her wristbands. We paint angry eyebrows on 24 duck decoys, slap blue tape wristbands on their little legs, and float them right in the main channel. Water rangers spot them, baffled. Karen's on the radio, losing her mind. Phase 2. Information warfare. Twins paint a giant floating sign. Harassed by fake water rangers? Getting bogus fines? Call the refund hotline. Google voice number, straight to my deadpan recording quoting county statutes and the People's Court theme song. We anchor it in the lake. Residents love it. Kids take selfies with the ducks. The tide turns. Karen? She slaps me with fines for unapproved decorative water features, the ducks, and environmental contamination, the sign. Ally just laughs. Those fines are as useless as her initiative. But Karen ups the ante. She chains the public boat launch, our only real lake access. Bert Mullins, Breaker 7 on the ham radio, calls me. The Dragon Ladies chain the gate, Bulldog actual. I drive over, see the heavy chain and padlock. New sign. Launch area closed. Permit required. That's war. I call Ally. She checks the maps, confirms it's a public right-of-way. She might as well have chained the sidewalk. She can't officially endorse bowl cutters, but she can be present as a legal observer. Twins volunteer to live stream. At 4 p.m., we show up, crowd gathering. I explain the law. Ally reads the county ordinance, voice like a gavel. I cut the chain with a satisfying snap. Crowd cheers. Live stream blows up. Karen's silence is ominous. Then, 3 days later, Moose wakes me up. Midnight, all senses on alert. I follow him outside, flashlight in hand, and find hoses pumping water out of my cove. Someone's draining the lake. Moose corners a guy in a hoodie. It's the mustard-stained water ranger. He bolts. I chase. He escapes in a car. I find a page in the mud, a ledger. Payments, consulting fees, marina, and KKK approval. Karen's initials. MH. Who's that? The next morning, I call Ally. She's fired up, tells me not to touch the evidence. We're building a case. I promote Leia and Nate from pranksters to intelligence operatives. They dig up Harrow Development Group. CEO, Miles Harrow, MH. And they're in their project portfolio. A conceptual rendering of our lake, a luxury marina, right where the nature preserve is now. Ally discovers payments routed through a shell company, Lakefront Solutions, LLC. Founders, Miles Harrow and Richard Killian, Karen's husband. It all snaps into place. The wristband fees, the fines, the push to seize control of the lake. This was all a setup for a private marina, lining their own pockets, using HOA money as seed capital. But to bring them down, we need a smoking gun, an insider. And right on cue, the treasurer, a timid guy terrified of Karen, calls me. He's seen the marina plans. He's scared, but he can't stay quiet. We meet in my boathouse, storm raging, Moose pressed against my leg. The treasurer handed me a briefcase stuffed with the real books, ledgers, statements, everything. He's desperate, says, just leave me out of it. I have a family. I tell him he did the right thing. It's all there. The fraud, the conspiracy, the evidence. The final piece will come at the HOA emergency meeting, called to discuss the regatta incident. But before that, Karen, in a fit of desperation, launches one last power play. Her and the Water Rangers stage a beach landing on my dock, armed with a net, trying to confiscate my angry duck decoys. I launch my drone, patch the live feed to Bert, who gives a hilarious play-by-play over the radio. The tadpoles are in disarray. The ducks are holding the line. Neighbors gather, laughing. Then, in poetic justice, Karen slips and falls into the lake, emerging wet and humiliated. Sirens blare. Deputy Ward arrives to find chaos, Karen dripping, the neighborhood in stitches. The emergency HOA meeting is standing room only. I show the deed, the payment trail, the body cam footage from the regatta, sabotage buoys, a kid nearly electrocuted, the water ranger fleeing. Phones are raised. Voices shout. Play it again. That could have been my kid. The anger is palpable. Karen is pale. Harrow tries to run for his boat, but Bert and the dads block him. Sheriff's patrol cuts off his escape on the lake. Game over. Karen's empire collapses. She's ousted. The new board is elected. The aquatic initiative scrapped. Refunds issued. Water rangers fired. Ally hands everything to the DA. Fraud, conspiracy, criminal negligence. The marina project is dead, and the story hits the local news. Me, Moose, and a squadron of angry duck decoys become the face of the fight. And you know what? The next morning, the sunrise over the lake feels different. The air is lighter, the water calm. For the first time in months, there's real peace. Moose leans into my hand, angling for a celebratory steak. He earned it. Leia and Nate swing by, grinning with news that I'm now a local legend. We paddle out, hauling the refund hotline sign, and I promise them the plywood for their next wild project. What did I learn? That power will always find a new way to dress up greed, and that the only way to stop it is to stand together, to keep receipts, and sometimes to weaponize a prank or two. The lake isn't just mine, it's everyone's. Owning it is a responsibility. Keeping it free is the job. I'll never forget the look on Karen's face, climbing out of that lake, soaked and defeated. Not by law, but by truth and community. That's karma, and it's beautiful. But let me ask you this. Where's the line between justice and revenge? What would you have done in my shoes? Sit quiet, fight fire, or with something else entirely? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me if you've ever stared down a bully with a clipboard and what justice looks like where you live. Let's hear your story.